So you're ready to buy your very first motorcycle. That is amazing, but have you thought about how you're actually gonna get that bike back home? Are you gonna ride it home? Are you trailer it home? Are you nervous about riding for the very first time after you bought your brand spanking new motorcycle? Well, that's what we're talking about in today's video. I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know on how to survive your very first motorcycle ride. Let's get into it. So I'll share with you guys my first experience riding my first new motorcycle. It was May of 2015. I've been riding for almost 8 years now, and I had just gotten to the dealership. I had negotiated my first deal. It was a brand spanking new 2015 Yamaha R3 in the red and white colorway. Loved the thing, looked really great. The only experience I had was riding a motorcycle in a parking lot after the MSF. And to be honest, I couldn't believe that they were just gonna give me the keys and I would just get to be out on the road and do whatever I wanted with this motorcycle. Must be all that freedom that they tell me about, right? And I'll be perfectly honest, I was pretty nervous approaching the motorcycle, swinging a leg over it. It felt really different to the MSF CRF 250L that I had ridden. And once I got on the bike, I had to kind of get used to the controls a little bit, the seating position, and I was like, I guess I'm just off. And the first thing I did was, I had mapped out a route back to my house. I was just gonna immediately go back home and then just try to figure it out from there. But it was pretty nerve-wracking, and I kind of wish that I had somebody to walk me through the process, but I ended up being able to navigate it on my own, and it was really a lot more frightening than I thought it would be. But it was also the most exhilarating feeling to be on this motorcycle finally after so many years of dreaming and wanting to own one. But I'm gonna tell you guys everything you need to know today on how to make this process a little bit easier. And the first step is one you're probably already familiar with. It should go without saying, but the first thing you gotta do before you even buy your motorcycle is obviously take some sort of training course. Here in the United States, we have the MSF, and I really think you need to learn the basic ins and outs of a motorcycle. Here's the thing as well, if you go to a dealership and you don't have a Class M endorsement on your motorcycle, they may not let you ride away with the bike. Sure, you can probably get it insured and all that good stuff, but if the dealership is of reputable standing, they probably won't let you just ride off with the bike unless you have an M-Class endorsement. Some dealerships are really skeezy and they won't really care, or if you're buying from a private seller, they sure as hell won't care if you have an M-Class endorsement on your motorcycle license, but you really should consider taking an MSF course before you go and buy the motorcycle. And then there's another really important step. Before you swing a leg over the motorcycle and actually take it out for the first ride after you've bought it, you should definitely be wearing all of your gear. Statistically speaking, you're most likely to drop the bike or crash the bike when you have the least amount of experience. So I really think you should go, and when you get this motorcycle, be wearing all of your gear. At the very minimum, a jacket, helmet, gloves, and boots. If you do that, the next thing you gotta do is to remain calm. You studied this, you learned at the MSF how to ride fundamentally on a motorcycle. You have to remain calm and remember all those fundamental controls on the bike. Take a couple deep breaths, know that you're about to pilot the machine for the very first time, and stay focused.
Guys, let me take a quick moment from this video to tell you about our new Modern Classic giveaway. We're revealing it tomorrow, and I have to be honest, I've never been so excited about a giveaway quite like this one. It's an absolutely legendary bike that I think you guys are gonna go crazy over. If you wanna find out what it is, you can become a member at yammynoob.co and get access to our exclusive Discord server and learn more about it. Otherwise, keep your eyes peeled for the big reveal tomorrow. You are not gonna wanna miss it.
Once you've mustered up the courage and you're actually out on the road with the bike, the most important thing you're gonna wanna do is to watch traffic. It is totally okay to stall the bike or to waddle the bike or be a little bit awkward as long as you're being safe. It doesn't matter if you're riding the bike, learning all your fundamentals, and you still don't see that someone crossed a red light and then crashes in front of you. You're gonna wanna make sure you're being as safe as possible. So remember, you're still out on the road, try to obey all those traffic laws and obey all the traffic signs as well. The other big thing you should do is to plan your route ahead of time. Take out as many variables as possible on your first motorcycle ride by knowing exactly where you're gonna go with the bike. You don't want to jump out of the dealership and not exactly know the way back. You want to make sure you have the route planned out ahead of time. Know exactly which roads you're going to go on, which intersections you're going to go through, and your final destination in mind. Maybe you're dropping the bike off at a friend's house so that they can inspect the bike for you if they have motorcycle experience, or maybe you're simply going to drop the bike off at your own house so that you can park it and then learn how to ride it later. So you've worn all your gear, you've successfully piloted your bike out of the dealership, you planned your route. I think the next important step is to go to a parking lot and to continue practicing. Look guys, there is no shame in admitting that you need a little bit more practice on your motorcycle. I think here in America, we are woefully under-preparing riders when they go out on the streets. All we do is a little bit of parking lot practice, and then we tell them to go out and buy a Hayabusa and do 140 miles per hour on the freeway. Listen, you should really take your motorcycle to a secluded area, maybe a deserted neighborhood, maybe far away in the suburbs, maybe somewhere where they are, building houses and stuff. Watch out for nails if you do that. And just get familiar with your motorcycle. You're brand new to this thing. You don't want to be learning all this stuff when you have a bunch of cars going in and around you. So the more time you can spend in secluded areas and really understanding how to pilot this machine, the better off you are going to be. So again, there's no shame in it at all. Once you get your brand new motorcycle, it's gonna help you a ton to go out there by yourself and to practice. Now, I wanted to make an important point. If you are not feeling comfortable riding your bike back home, if for whatever reason you feel an extreme sense of trepidation and you really don't want to do it, don't do it. If your gut is screaming at you, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, you shouldn't push past that point. There's 3 options you can take if you really don't want to ride the bike back home after you bought it. Number 1, you could find a friend to ride it back home for you. Many of you out there are starting to ride motorcycles and you have someone in your life that already knows how to ride. If they already know how to ride, then you're gonna be more than comfortable getting them to get on the bike and riding it back home for you. That's usually a cheap and cost-effective option. Just buy your buddy a beer at the end of the day and you should be good. A second option would be to trailer it back home. If you don't have a friend that rides and you have some sort of truck or some sort of vehicle that has a hitch, you can go and rent any sort of trailer, load the bike up and take it home. And then from there, you're somewhere a little bit more comfortable. Maybe you want to ride around your neighborhood or somewhere you're more familiar with to understand the motorcycle. No shame in that. Third and final option, which is a little bit more rare and may cost you a little bit more money, is you can ask the dealership to deliver it for you. Now, that's pretty rare. I've only had one dealership deliver it to me that was here in Texas locally. I have worked with Eurocycle Las Vegas many times and they deliver straight to your door. That was a bit of a natural pitch for them. We do work with them. But yeah, a dealership can deliver the bike straight to your door if you're uncomfortable with riding it as well. I think the important thing to think about here is to assess whether you really want to ride this bike back home or not. Motorcycling is going to be something where you're going to be operating kind of outside your comfort zone for a while when you get into it. And I think the important thing is to not step too far out of your comfort zone. If you're way out of bounds, you're going to get yourself into trouble. If you're operating 10 to 20% outside of your comfort zone, you're learning, you're adapting, you're evolving, you're growing as a rider. So those are 3 options in case you really don't want to ride the bike back home. But I have one final tip for you today. So here's the thing, guys. It's going to take you some time to get comfortable with riding motorcycles. It's not going to be like in the first 2 weeks you're out there just ripping around and having a great time and really enjoying yourself. You're always going to have a little bit of trepidation and fear in those first 6 months, 9 months to 1 year of riding motorcycles. It's why here on the channel we say that you should probably wait for a good year with your starter bike to really learn and understand it before you upgrade. Motorcycling is a long journey. It's not a quick sprint to gather up all those sweet chivos. But let's recap what we talked about. So there's many steps you can take to mitigate the risk of the dangers of your first motorcycle ride out of the dealership. Because remember, like we said, you're least experienced and you're most likely to get hurt in this situation. So number 1, wear all of your gear. That's an easy one. Show up with a jacket, helmet, gloves, and boots, and you're already way better off in shape than a lot of beginner riders that I see. Number 2, take that MSF course. Don't leave it to chance. Take the MSF course. You'll be thankful that you did. Don't show up to a dealership and try to drive away with a bike without having an M-Class license. And third, plan your route. If you have your route already planned ahead of time, you won't have any surprises or variables when you get the bike out of the dealership and onto the road. Now remember, if you truly feel uncomfortable, you do have options. You can ask a friend to ride the bike back home for you. You can trailer the bike back home, or if you're lucky, you can get the dealership to deliver the bike to your home as well. All this to say, don't go too far out of your comfort zone and have fun with motorcycling. With all that being said, I'd love to hear your stories down below in the comments of what your first motorcycling experience was like when you actually bought your bike and how you got it back home. Did you survive the first ride, or did you rack up a Darwin Award and crash on your very first outing? There's no shame in that. I'd love to hear it down below. Thank you so much for watching today's video. And remember, We have an amazing modern classic giveaway showing up tomorrow that you are not going to want to miss. I'm sure some of you can already guess what it is, but shh, don't tell anybody in the comments down below, especially if you're not on the Discord server. We'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later. I remember some dark days in my past when I used to squid around on my H2, spooling boost everywhere, ripping fat supercharged wheelies, but then I found Yami Noob, and I kept watching Yami Noob, and I implore you now to keep watching yourself some Yami Noob. Save yourself from squid degeneracy. Keep watching yourself some Yami Noob. Click on this video right here. Do me a favor. Do me a solid, folks. Go ahead. I'll wait right here. Don't worry.